A Tuesday and an ordinary one, at first. I, Alistair Finch, journalist, was wrestling with a dull article on council planning permissions, the aroma of Earl Grey lingering in my study. The post arrived with its usual thud. Bills, circulars, maybe a letter from Aunt Mildred. I expected nothing more exciting than a garden gnome catalogue, but among the usual suspects was a small, plain, brown padded envelope. No return address, no stamp, just my name, neatly typed. It felt deliberately anonymous, almost unsettling. I turned it over in my hands, curiosity piqued. The package was dense, about the size of a paperback, but heavier. No markings, no clues, just a blank canvas for my imagination. I placed it beside my half-finished article, suddenly far less interested in council drama. The package seemed to demand attention, its mystery growing with every second. What could it be? Who would send such a thing? I felt the first twinge of unease, mixed with the irresistible pull of a story. The ordinary Tuesday had just become anything but, and I, for better or worse, was at the centre of it. My mind raced through possibilities, confidential tip-off, prank, or something more sinister. The envelope was well made, hand-delivered perhaps, but by whom? My address was typed in a standard font, nothing remarkable. The lack of a stamp nagged at me. Why so secretive? I weighed the package, too small for a book, too thick for documents. A USB drive? A box? My curiosity grew. It was a mental game of Cluedo. Contents, sender, motive, all unknown. The journalist in me felt duty-bound to investigate. We poke our noses into things, ask awkward questions, shine lights into murky corners. Sometimes those corners are darker than expected, but the pull of the unknown was too strong to ignore. I set aside my doubts and focused on the task at hand. If this was a lead, I had to follow it. If it was a threat, I needed to know. Either way, the story had found me. The only question was, what would I do next? I braced myself for whatever was inside. The envelope sat on my desk, silent and insistent. I was ready to find out. Should I open it? Prudence whispered caution. My old mentor's advice echoed, if it's too strange to be believed, it's likely to cause you bother. But curiosity is a powerful beast. What if this was important? What if it was dangerous? In the digital age, unknown devices can be traps, malware, spyware, worse. I eyed my old offline laptop, a relic, but safe for risky business. If there was a digital threat, better it infect a machine already on its last legs. I decided I'd open the package, but carefully, methodically, like handling a venomous snake. The allure of a story had won. The planning article could wait. The council's drama was nothing compared to this enigma. I reached for the envelope, heart pounding. The game, as they say, was afoot, and I was all in. Fortified by tea, I powered up the old laptop and slit open the envelope. Inside, a single black USB drive, unmarked, anonymous. It felt ordinary, but its delivery was anything but. I disconnected the laptop from everything, no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth. If there was a Trojan horse, it would find no city to conquer. I plugged in the drive. For a moment, nothing. Then a single video file appeared, its name a jumble of letters and numbers. My heart raced as I double-clicked. The ancient media player sputtered, then the screen flickered to life. No logos, no introductions, just chaos. The footage began, and I was pulled into a world I could barely comprehend. The ordinary had vanished, replaced by something terrifyingly new. I watched, transfixed, as the impossible unfolded before me. The room seemed to shrink around me. The video was no prank, no marketing ploy. It was a window into something unimaginable, and I was the only witness. The hairs on my neck stood on end. I braced myself for what came next. The footage was chaos, no titles, no warning. The camera shook, revealing a city in ruins, buildings burning, sky orange with smoke. Explosions erupted, followed by a roar that rattled even my old laptop speakers. Soldiers appeared, their uniforms sleek and alien, wielding weapons that fired energy, not bullets. The devastation was immense. Towers crumbling, craters smoking, machines stalking the rubble. Drones darted overhead, spitting fire, while bipedal walkers loomed metallic and menacing. This was war, but not as I knew it. Technology far beyond anything on Earth. The sounds were alien, the language unfamiliar, yet the fear was universal. Faces flashed by, grim, blooded, desperate. The suffering was timeless, the destruction overwhelming. My mind reeled, struggling to process the images. Was this a vision of the future, a warning, or something else? The footage felt real, too real. I felt a cold knot in my stomach. Who had sent this to me, and why? The question echoed louder with every frame. I couldn't look away. The city's agony was seared into my mind. I was witnessing a nightmare that might one day be ours, and I had no idea what to do. The technology was staggering, a quantum leap from today's weapons. Soldiers' shields shimmered into existence, deflecting energy blasts, then vanished. Their armor was sleek, almost magical. Weapons manipulated gravity, unleashed concussive sound or blinding light. Some soldiers seemed to teleport or cloak themselves, vanishing and reappearing in the chaos. Vehicles hovered silently, anti-gravity craft gliding over ruins. Walkers moved with terrifying agility, acting as mobile artillery. Drones swarmed, not just attacking but relaying information, forming a networked battlefield. Soldiers' visors streamed data, maps projected from gauntlets, the fight coordinated in real time. This was war fought with energy, information and speed. The footage was too chaotic for full analysis, but the implications were clear. This was not fantasy. It was a vision of warfare utterly transformed. The scale, the sophistication, the brutality, it was overwhelming. I felt both awe and dread. If this was real, the world was on the brink of something unimaginable. The future had arrived, and it was terrifying. I watched, unable to tear my eyes away. The footage was relentless, and I was left reeling. Amidst the chaos, the faces haunted me. Soldiers, civilians, leaders, their features were disturbingly familiar. Not people I knew, but echoes of my own world. Their expressions, gestures, even their language's cadence felt close to home. It was like seeing distant relatives in a nightmare. These could have been my neighbours' children aged by war. The cultural echoes were unmistakable. The horror was not alien, but our own, twisted by unimaginable conflict. If they'd been truly foreign, it might have been easier to dismiss. But this was a mirror, warped and brutal. The realization chilled me. This was not just a fantasy, it was a warning. The future looked back at me, and I shuddered. The nightmare was ours. My skepticism battled the evidence before me. Could this be CGI, a military simulation? The detail was staggering, the realism raw. No dramatic angles, no music, just relentless, unfiltered horror. If it was a simulation, why send it to me? The resources needed for such a hoax would be immense. Then the wildest thought, what if it was real? Not now, but from the future. Time travel, absurd, yet the footage defied any other explanation. I replayed scenes, searching for flaws, digital seams, anything to dismiss it. But the more I looked, the more convincing it became. The laws of physics held, the fear was genuine. It was either a perfect illusion or something far more disturbing. My stomach twisted with dread. I was left with questions, not answers. The impossible felt suddenly, terrifyingly possible. And I was alone with the knowledge. Hours passed, my tea was cold, my article forgotten. The video had consumed my world, leaving me shaken and burdened. If it was a hoax, exposing it was my duty. But if it was real, a warning from the future, the implications were staggering. Dismissing it felt irresponsible. Believing it felt mad. I considered going to the authorities, but what would I say? I have a USB showing a future war. They'd laugh, or worse. No, I needed to investigate further. Experts in visual effects, military tech, even physics. Someone had to help verify it. I couldn't release it blindly, risk panic or ridicule. My role was to investigate, verify and, if true, report. First, I'd find people I could trust. I'd gather evidence, seek understanding. Only then would I decide how to bring this to the world. The weight of the decision was immense, but I was a journalist, and the story, whatever it was, had found me. Now I had to find the truth.